She knew they didn't believe her, but they were simply indulging her fantasies and her imagination. That's okay, she thought to herself. I will discover what's going on and they will be astounded. I just know it. She jumped out of bed and got dressed and ready to start today's new adventure. Today, she would discover the mystery of the strange flying stick, the shell, the splash, and the big eyes peering around the side of the rock. I forgot to tell you guys about that, but we'll get to that. Okay, good. Sammie Jo ran down the stairs to greet her parents and eat breakfast before starting out to complete her quest for the day. Good morning, Mom, Dad. What's for breakfast? You sure are bright-eyed today, explained her dad. Got big plans for the day? I sure do. I'm going to figure out the mystery today and we'll have proof for you by the time I get home, said Sammie Jo excitedly. Well, I'll be waiting to see what you discover. I sure hope that you'll be able to figure this out. I just hope that it's as exciting as you seem to think it will be, said her mom. Oh, it will be, her dad muttered. With her imagination, it's going to be quite a story. You'll see, said Sammie Jo. It will be something awesome. You just wait and see. Sammie Jo ate her breakfast of cereal and strawberries, picked up her backpack for the day, and assured her parents she would not go beyond the point. She headed out the door, eager to start today's explorations. I sure hope she discovers something worthwhile, said Mr. Merriweather. I would hate for her to be too disappointed if there's nothing more than a big fish out there. Whatever it is, she will make it exciting, replied Mr. Merriweather. You know how she can turn anything into a wonderful story. I'm sure she's going to be a writer when she grows up. They both laughed, remembering some of Sammie Jo's previous adventures and stories, and they went to their offices to begin their work for the day. Sammie Jo hurried toward her rock island in anticipation of what she might find today. On the way, she scouted for any new clues that she might find. She found all the normal stuff that she would normally find, so continued on her way. She just knew she would find or discover something new and exciting today. She chose to set up her observation point at the same place where she had eaten lunch yesterday. It was comfy under the tree and it blocked some of the bright sun, while still allowing her to keep a close eye on the little rock island. She knew that she had seen some eyes peering around that rock yesterday. She was determined to see the same thing today. But today, she would discover what was behind those eyes. She spread out her blanket and made a cozy area to set up camp, and then pulled the odd shell from her backpack. As soon as she touched it, she had the same sensation that she had had before. It did not feel like a shell at all. It felt alive. She knew this was strange, but that is what it felt like. Whatever could it be, she thought to herself. It's not a shell. It's not an animal, but it almost feels like it's breathing. Splash! Sammie Jo jumped off the blanket and looked toward the island, and again, nothing. She just knew something was there, and it was obviously curious about her as well. How could she notice it from behind the rock? She searched through her backpack to see what might work. I wonder if it would like an apple. She took an apple out of her backpack and walked down to the edge of the water line, tenderly setting it right on the edge of the water. After seeing nothing, she turned and walked back to her blanket and lowered herself slowly to the ground. She glanced lazily at the place where she had set the apple, and it was gone. Oh my goodness! I only had my back turned for a minute, she exclaimed out loud. Maybe the water pulled it away. But no, I made sure it was where the water could reach it, Sammie Jo muttered to herself. What can I try next? I don't have any more apples. Let's see. She began to rummage through her backpack to see what she might find. She stored all sorts of treasures in there because you just never know when something might come in handy. Aha, she shouted. A ball. Hold on, let me get a ball. Okay. A ball. Maybe it would like to play ball, she laughed. She took the ball anyway and walked to the water's edge again, tossing the ball up and down in her hand as she went. She tried to look really bored, so that whatever was watching her wouldn't get spooked again. She just stood there tossing the ball up and down, while she stared intently at the rock island. And sure enough, the eyes appeared, but only for a second. Yippee! Shouted Sammie Jo. There is something out there and it wants to know me too. I just know it. Want to play ball? Shouted Sammie. I have one right here. Just come out and I'll toss it to you. But nothing happened. She waited and waited and waited and waited, but nothing. Please come out, she shouted. I promise I won't hurt you. And then something small and shiny flew out of the water and landed at her feet. Sammie Jo pounced on it eagerly. It was another one of the strange shells. Whomever or whatever was out there definitely had something to do with her finding the first shell, and now just threw her another one. This will prove it to my parents, she thought to herself. But how in the world was she going to convince it to come out? Maybe if I throw something of mine back, maybe it will be like a trade or something. Sammie Jo thought as she bounced her ball up and down. She stared intently at the rock island, pulled her arm back, and threw her little red ball as hard and as far as possible. It landed just a little beyond the island. The wind was blowing toward the island, so it carried the ball further down than what it should have been, and bobbed up and down on the little waves, bobbing, bobbing, just like the apples you bobbed for the fall festivals they have at school. And then it was gone, just like that. Wait a second, okay. Just like that. She could hardly even blink, but the ball was no longer there, it was gone. Where are you, hollered Sammie. Please show yourself, please. And as she gazed longingly at the rock, something wondrous began to happen. Slowly, the big eyes began to peep around the side of the rock, and then even more slowly, the large bluish green head that went with those eyes, and then the cheeks, and then the long nose, and finally, just a second.
Cody.
I'm going to give you a clue, okay? Finally, a huge mouth holding the red ball. It stared at her for a long moment, and then tossed its head, and the red ball came flying back at Sammie Jo.
Oh, almost.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Thank you. So the red ball came flying back at Sammie Jo. She lunged to catch the ball and then turned quickly to look back toward the rock and the strange creature hiding behind it. The creature stared at her for another long moment, and then with another loud splash, disappeared. Sammie Jo stood rooted to the spot for so long that her feet began to get covered up with water as the tide began to come back in. She realized that it was late and she had better be heading back home. But she would return again tomorrow, and tomorrow she just knew that she would get to see more of her new, very shy friend. Sammie grabbed her backpack and raced towards home. She burst into the kitchen, tossing her backpack on the floor and scattering everything everywhere. Mom, Dad, you're never going to believe what happened today. This was definitely the best day ever. Sammie told her parents the whole story while they oohed and awed in amazement at Sammie Jo's newest story. They were so proud of her detective abilities and encouraged her to find out more. They even got out some books about the sea animals in their area to see if there was anything like it in any of the books. But the closest thing they could come up with were prehistoric animals that had been dead for millions of years. Sammie finally went to bed, so excited she could hardly sleep. And when she did sleep, her dreams were full of big eyes, green faces, and red balls. Tomorrow would be an even better day. She just